Hey everyone, welcome back. Have you ever felt like you're stuck on this treadmill, chasing a career that's supposed to be fulfilling, but it just leaves you feeling, I don't know, kind of empty?
Yeah.
Like there's got to be something more out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think a lot of people feel that way. And that's actually why we're doing this deep dive today.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got this really cool book. It's all about ditching that old career playbook, one. Ooh. And it's exploring this whole idea of a pathless path.
Yeah. And it's not just some airy-fairy philosophy or whatever.
Right.
The author actually left, a super high-powered consulting job
Wow.
to try and figure out what a meaningful career could look like outside of, that whole corporate ladder climb.
Yeah.
And he shares some really practical strategies in the book.
Awesome.
Which I think you'll find really helpful.
I love that. So it's not just theory.
Right.
It's based on real life experience.
Exactly.
That's what I love about this book. And he starts by kind of dismantling this whole idea of the default path that we're all supposed to follow, right?
Yeah.
Good grades, fancy university, stable job promotions,
The whole 9 yards.
the whole 9 yards. We all know the drill.
Yep.
But here's the thing. What if that whole path is actually leading us in the wrong direction?
Ooh, interesting.
Right? And the author, he tells this hilarious story about how back in college, he was obsessed with hacking the system.
Oh, wow.
He created these elaborate spreadsheets
What?
to optimize his grades.
No way.
And he would pick his courses based on which professors were known to be easy graders.
Oh my gosh, I totally did that too.
Right?
I remember color coding my schedule and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to figure out the path of least resistance to a decent GPA.
Yeah. It's funny now.
It's so fun.
But it also makes you think, why are we so fixated on playing the game,
Right.
even when we're not even sure what the prize is supposed to be?
Yeah. What are we actually working towards?
Exactly.
And that's where I think this book gets really interesting. It
Yeah.
argues that, a lot of times we're driven by these external expectations of what success should look like.
Yeah.
Rather than what actually makes us feel fulfilled.
Which makes total sense when you
Right.
think about it.
Right.
How many of us are chasing goals that we think will impress other people, but deep down, we're not even sure if they really matter to us?
Totally. And, research actually shows
That's
that
really.
this kind of external validation, it rarely leads to lasting satisfaction.
Mhm.
In fact, it can often lead to, anxiety and burnout.
Oh, wow.
The author cites a bunch of studies on life scripts,
Yeah.
which basically show how we internalize these societal norms
Interesting.
about what a successful life should look like.
Yeah.
And when we just blindly follow those scripts without questioning them,
Yeah.
we can end up feeling completely lost and unfulfilled.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so the default path might not be the best route to a fulfilling career.
Right.
But then, we're constantly told we need to find meaningful work.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But this book, it actually challenges that idea too, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It suggests that maybe fixating on meaningful work could actually be part of the problem.
Ooh.
It's interesting. The author brings up some research that suggests true meaning often comes from experiences that involve struggle and discomfort.
Huh.
It's not always about feeling happy or
Right.
finding a job that feels effortlessly, right?
So it's more about embracing the challenges
Yeah.
and learning from the tough stuff.
Exactly. You got it.
Oh.
And the author actually found that he felt more fulfilled when he was pursuing creative projects outside of his paid work,
Oh, wow.
even if they didn't, bring in any money.
Interesting.
It was about doing things that truly resonated with him,
Yeah.
even if they were difficult or it didn't fit the traditional definition of success.
That's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
Right.
What if it's not about finding the perfect, meaningful job,
Yeah.
but it's about creating a life where the work you love
Mm-hmm.
is woven into your everyday experience,
I love that.
even if it doesn't come with a paycheck and a fancy title.
That's a really powerful way to put it.
Right.
And that actually leads us to another big theme in the book,
Okay.
redefining success.
Ooh, I like that.
Because if we let go of those traditional markers of achievement,
Yeah.
the corner office, the big salary,
Mm-hmm.
how do we actually define what a successful life looks like for ourselves? So the author, he talks about this Gallup survey. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
It found that almost everyone personally defines success as, pursuing their own interests and becoming their best selves.
Yeah.
But here's the crazy part. The vast majority also believe that other people define success as being rich, having a high-profile career, or being well-known.
It's like we have this totally warped perception of what other people value.
Right.
It's like we're all playing this game with a set of rules we don't even agree on.
It's so true. And that's why the author argues that we need to kind of shift our focus from chasing that external validation to cultivating a more intrinsic sense of fulfillment.
I like that. So how do we actually do that?
Well, he introduces this concept of a second chapter of success,
Okay.
which focuses on personal growth and living in alignment with your values.
Okay. That sounds great in theory.
Right.
But what does that actually look like in real life?
Yeah. It's definitely more of a mindset shift than anything.
Right.
But the book gives some really tangible examples.
Okay. Like what?
Well, for instance, he talks about Kevin Durant, the NBA star.
Oh, yeah.
And, he achieved incredible success on the court.
Championships, MVP awards, the whole 9 yards.
Exactly. But he still felt this sense of emptiness.
Wow.
He realized that constantly chasing external validation wasn't going to bring him true fulfillment.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
If Kevin Durant can feel lost amidst all that success, it really makes you think.
It puts things in perspective.
It does. Like maybe we're all searching for something deeper
Yeah,
than just accolades and achievements.
absolutely. And that's where this idea comes in of finding your conversation with the world.
Oh, I love that metaphor.
It's so good.
It's like figuring out what you're uniquely meant to contribute. Right.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
got it. And the author actually provides some really great questions to kind of help you get started.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Well, he asks things like, what am I good at? What excites me? What are my fears?
Ooh, those are good ones.
Yeah. And these are all clues that can point you towards your own unique conversation.
So it's about being curious,
Mm-hmm.
reflecting on your experiences, and maybe even having some honest conversations with people you trust.
Yeah. Those are all really important pieces of the puzzle.
Okay. This is all making a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But let's be real for a second.
Sure.
This all sounds amazing,
Right.
but how do we actually do it?
Yeah.
Like, how do we take these big, inspiring ideas and translate them into concrete action?
Yes. That's where the book gets really practical.
Okay.
It doesn't just leave you hanging with these lofty concepts.
Right.
It actually provides specific strategies
Okay.
for navigating a less conventional career path.
Cool. I like that. So what's the first step?
One of the most powerful techniques he introduces is something he calls inverting your thinking.
Inverting. What does that even mean?
It's kind of like flipping the script on how we usually set goals.
Okay.
So instead of focusing on what you want to achieve,
Yeah.
you start by defining what you don't want in your life,
Oh, interesting.
and then you work backwards
Okay.
to identify steps you can take to avoid those outcomes.
So it's like figuring out your deal breakers
Exactly.
and then building your career around avoiding them.
You got it. That's a great way to put it.
It's like reverse engineering your ideal life.
Exactly. And by clarifying what you want to avoid, you actually gain a much clearer understanding of
Okay.
what you actually value and what you want to pursue.
That's pretty clever.
Uh,
I like that. But it still feels a little daunting. You know,
Yeah, it's a big shift.
it is. Are there any like baby steps we can take to start exploring these possibilities?
Absolutely. The book suggests a bunch of small experiments you can try.
Okay. Like what?
Things like trying a new skill, starting a side project,
Okay.
or even just reaching out to people
Yeah.
who are already doing what you're interested in.
He calls those people path experts.
Right.
Right.
Yes, exactly. People who are a few steps ahead of you
Mm-hmm.
on a similar journey.
I like that.
And he emphasizes that most people are more than happy to share their insights and experiences,
Oh, that's good to know.
especially if you approach them with genuine curiosity.
Right.
People love to talk about themselves and what they do.
Okay. This is all really encouraging.
Good.
But let's be honest. One of the biggest fears people have about leaving that traditional path is financial insecurity,
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's
Yeah.
a big one.
right? Like, how do you pay the bills when you're not climbing that corporate ladder?
Yeah, that's a totally valid concern.
Yeah. But the book addresses this head on.
Okay.
It offers strategies for reducing your expenses and building what he calls a portfolio of small bets,
Interesting.
rather than relying on a single source of income.
So it's about diversifying your income streams
Exactly.
and creating a safety net that allows you to pursue your passions without being paralyzed by fear.
You got it. It's about taking calculated risks
Okay.
and building a more sustainable and resilient career,
Mm-hmm.
even if it doesn't look like the traditional path.
This is all making so much sense, but there's one thing that really surprised me in the book.
What's that?
The whole idea of generosity
Oh, yeah.
being a key asset on the pathless path,
I love that part.
right? Like, how does giving things away help you build a successful career?
It seems counterintuitive, right?
It totally does.
But the author makes a really compelling case
Okay.
for how practicing generosity can be incredibly beneficial,
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
even from a practical standpoint.
He argues that generosity helps you overcome scarcity mindset. It helps you build meaningful connections.
Okay.
And it helps you cultivate a sense of abundance.
Interesting.
It's about shifting from a fear-based approach
Right.
to a more open and collaborative one.
So it's not just about giving money.
Right.
It's about giving your time,
Yeah.
your energy, your knowledge.
Exactly. It's about giving whatever you have to offer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the author shares this really interesting story with
Okay.
his own experiment with
Right.
giving a cash gift to a stranger he met.
Right.
Why?
He just gave money to a random person.
He did, yeah. And he talks about how that experience
Wow.
opened up all these unexpected opportunities and connections.
Interesting.
It's a great example of how generosity can create this ripple effect of positivity that extends far beyond the initial act of giving.
Yeah, it's like that act of giving can like shift your whole perspective,
Yeah.
you know, and open up these new possibilities you never even considered before.
Exactly. And it kind of ties into the broader message of the book, which is that the pathless path, it's not about escaping work altogether.
Right.
It's about finding work that you love
Yeah.
and that you want to keep doing, whether or not it comes with a traditional paycheck.
I love that. He actually quotes, I think it's Stephen Cope,
Yeah.
who calls this the great work of your life.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
I love that. It's so much more than just earning a living.
Right.
It's about like aligning your actions with your values and making a meaningful contribution to the world.
Exactly. And the author's own journey is a great example of this. You know, he talks about how for a long time, he believed that if he just found the right job, he'd finally be happy,
Oh yeah, I've been there.
right? But he realized that true fulfillment comes from something deeper,
Okay.
from connecting with his own creativity and pursuing work that he genuinely enjoys, regardless of whether it makes him rich or famous.
So it's not about finding the perfect job.
Right.
It's about finding the work that lights you up, the work that feels like an expression of who you are.
Yeah. And that might mean, you know, stepping outside the bounds of those traditional career paths
Right?
and, you know, forging your own unique way.
Yeah, I like that. He even challenges this popular idea
Oh, yeah.
that everyone needs to find their ikigai.
Right. That sweet spot.
Yeah, where your passion and mission and vocation and profession
All intersect.
all come together.
Yeah.
Honestly, it always felt a little too prescriptive for me.
Right.
Like, what if you don't fit neatly into those 4 categories?
Exactly. The author argues that it's more important to just find work you love
Yeah.
and want to keep doing,
Yeah.
even if it doesn't perfectly align with those 4 elements.
Right. He actually encourages us to broaden our definition of work beyond just having a traditional job.
Right. It could be.
Yeah, like a side hustle, a passion project,
Volunteer work,
volunteer work.
creative pursuits.
Exactly. It's about finding ways to express your creativity,
Yeah.
to contribute to the world, and to make a difference. And it doesn't matter if you get paid for it or not.
Exactly. It's about the impact you're making.
I love that. It kind of takes the pressure off.
Right.
Finding that one perfect job, and it opens up a whole world of possibilities.
For sure. And the book goes even deeper, you know, exploring this idea of human capital,
Okay.
this idea that our value is tied to our ability to produce and earn money.
Which is kind of a depressing way to think about ourselves, isn't it?
It is. It's like we're just cogs in a machine.
Yeah, exactly.
And the author contrasts this with the idea of a gift economy,
Okay.
where value is created through acts of generosity,
agree.
reciprocity, and connection.
That sounds a lot more appealing.
Right. It's a much more human-centered way of thinking about work and value.
Yeah. So how does a gift economy actually work in the real world?
Well, it's not about literally exchanging gifts.
Right.
It's more about shifting our mindset from scarcity to abundance.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we all have unique gifts to offer,
Mm-hmm.
and that by sharing those gifts freely, we can create a more equitable and fulfilling world.
So it's about contributing to something larger than ourselves.
Yeah,
Something that benefits both us and the people around us.
exactly. And that might involve things like
Okay.
mentoring others,
Sure.
sharing your knowledge and skills, supporting causes you believe in,
Yeah.
or simply offering a helping hand to someone in need.
It's about recognizing that we all have something valuable to offer,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of our job title or income level.
Absolutely. And those acts of giving, they can create a ripple effect
Yeah.
that extends far beyond ourselves.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that.
It's really shifted my perspective on what it means to build a meaningful career.
I'm so glad. And remember, the pathless path, it's not about having all the answers.
Right.
It's about embracing the journey, experimenting with different possibilities,
Yeah.
and trusting that you have the power to create a life that feels truly meaningful and fulfilling.
Right. I love that. And on that note, we want to leave you with one final thought-provoking question from the book.
Okay. Hit us with it.
If you could do anything, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right? Take some time to really sit with that question.
Mm-hmm.
What are those hidden desires,
Mm.
those unexpressed passions that you've been putting off?
Yeah.
What would it look like to start taking small steps towards those dreams, even if they don't fit the traditional mold?
That's the key.
Right? Remember, you have the power to create a career and a life that truly lights you up.
That's what it's all about.
Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.